Back. We're back, everybody. This is my official Hackintosh. Don't use hack. Don't use hack. Don't use hack. This is my PSA for the show. Do not use Hackintosh. That's all I got to tell you, everybody.
This is our show. This is your show on a Hackintosh.
This is your show on a Hackintosh. I will make a pledge that next week I will not be running this show on a Hackintosh. I'll be running it probably in Windows, believe it or not.
No.
Yeah. So because I gotta. It's beyond the point of embarrassing now. Now it's just stupid. That's the point we're at now.
Hey, remember, we're not network. This isn't CBS, ABC, MSNBC. We're just two guys with two strings and a tin can, or is it? Yeah, that's the problem. We're using two strings and one tin can. That's
one tin can. Yeah, right. Exactly. So we're going into the next segment. So let's pick it up where we left off. So we were going to do your tip of the week.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about being environmentally friendly, and what goes into having an environmentally friendly voiceover business. So roll that beautiful bean footage.
All right, here it goes.
As modern-day voice actors with home studios, I think we need to set an example to be in the forefront of being green and environmentally friendly. We want to take care of our world and leave it to our children better than we found it. One way is to go paperless and save our friends, the trees. Okay, aside from the healthy benefits to our planet, it also makes sense from a business perspective. With the tons of audition scripts I used to go through and the long-format voice projects, paper started to pile up. I used to just throw it all in the same pile until one day I noticed that the pile was actually almost about 3 feet tall, and it was clogging up my desk and just about everywhere else. That's when I decided to go paperless and start using a remote screen. Okay, I'm sure many of you have already done this. But for those of you who haven't or haven't tried yet, it's actually pretty simple. All you really need is an extra flat screen monitor. Your computer, if it's fairly new, like in the last 5 years, should give you the ability to use dual monitors. On Macs and most laptops, it's a standard feature. They make adapters for all types of connections. They've really come down in price over the past few years. And by using an old monitor and putting it back to use, you're also helping to save the planet. All you have to do is mount it at the height you want against the wall behind your mic, using a standard wall mount. Simply run an extra long monitor cable to it. Setting it up on a Mac is one step. Take it out of the mirror mode in the display preferences. Then all you have to do is slide the script from one screen to the other, and scroll it with a wireless mouse. Perfect for doing long format. Never a page to turn. Okay, what about marking a script? Well, for short scripts, our good friend John Taylor came up with this gem. Use a clear plastic sheet of overhead projector slides taped to the monitor and a dry erase pen. Or here's something I bet you didn't think about. Why not just use the effects that you have in Word or your word processing to make arrows or to come up with different ways of doing it? You can draw lines, you can place them anywhere you want. Or here's a good one. Why not try using a highlight and come up with your own code for what those particular highlights mean? It's a different way of looking at things. Even more obvious, an iPad's going to replace all this stuff in the very near future. If you got one, use it. You'll probably be recording on that iPad or tablet in the next few years anyway. So go paperless. Save the forests and our planet. And that's my tip of the week.
Well done.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You want to know something about that? All of that is shot on a MacBook.
Really?
My neighbors are like, "What are you carrying your computer around for?" There's it's actually a great little filmmaking little device. I mean, and last week I was able to do that stuff with the iPhone. So it's fun to edit with this stuff, and it's fun to put these together, and hopefully you're all getting something out of it. But
Yeah, I am.
I'm glad you're learning something.
Yeah, I mean, the overlay over the screen with some what is that, overhead projector stuff? What do they call that?
It's, having been a teacher and having been someone who uses this stuff. Yeah, it's just it's overhead projector slides.
Yeah,
and you use a dry erase or a wet erase. I find the alcohol stuff takes it off really well.
Does it really?
It's it's John Taylor gave us that. And I'm like, brilliant. But
Gold.
then also using the stuff in Word works really great. For marking up scripts and stuff like that. So
Gold.
Yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
we know we have Mike McCall coming up in just a couple of minutes. And so we're going to try and locate him somewhere between his boat and his house. And, I mean, if there's any questions you guys have about anything, again, you can email us at ewabshop@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you. And also want to remind you, though, that here's a public service right now, but yeah, no, don't push it. We are professionals. Do not try this at home.
Yeah. No, we do this for fun, but as soon as it starts to feel like it's more work than it's worth doing, and our families start getting really mad at us for the amount of time we spend doing this nonprofit thing,
Right.
that's when it gets scary. So, but no, we love doing it, and but help contribute to the show by bringing us ideas, questions, topics you'd like to cover. Keep it interactive, and we want to keep this. This show is your show.
Right.
We're giving you stuff that we think you guys are interested in, and so let us know what you're interested in. We'll try to do a good job of listening to you guys, and we'll keep doing this as long as possible.
That's right. Well, I don't plan on quitting.
This is episode 39. Next week, I believe, little birdie told me, John Taylor is going to be here in LA and might actually be here in the studio with me for show 40.
Oh,
so I'm not making any promises, but that's what a birdie told me. So
okay, well, we love having John back.
Yeah,
and I hear,
so-
is Bo going to be joining us again soon?
Bo Weaver, I said, Bo, you're like the number one voted guest for the show, and because we put that poll on Facebook and you guys responded, and he was the number one voted guest, and so I said, Bo, they want you back, and he said anytime.
All right,
So
great. And then we're going to be live at FAFCon. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to seeing all our friends there, and that's going to be a great time. Anyway, speaking of friends, let's try and get a hold of Mike McCall, and we'll be right back after this very important message.
We are back.
Yeah, we are back, which is better than our front sometimes. I don't know. It's just, yeah, again, we're having this little communication problems. You know, I think the internet is getting squished just a little bit too much.
Exactly. And I think we're trying to get too much out of Skype, too. I don't think it was ever designed to do three-way phone call, video chat all at the same time. So, but it's working.
We've been doing it all along. I mean, it's just...
No, I think this is the first three-way video and phone call simultaneously on the same Skype call.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But we do have Mike
in here.
We do have
Mike McCall, Mr. Big Time Voice. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop.
Wow, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure having you. Now we've talked to a lot of people on the show that have that do promo work and trailer work and are doing a lot of national flight commercials. You're a voice that it's like Mike McCall. I know the name, and then we were listening to the demos, and I'm like, every time I go to the movies, that's the voice I hear. How do you get into that? Everybody's like, how do we do that?
That's the first question everybody wants to know, of course. That's the first. Tell us the long story.
I was going to say, everybody seems to have their own, very interesting story. But I was sort of lucky enough to run into a person that was married to a guy that worked at a trailer company here in Los Angeles, and just sort of, got my demo into him. And I didn't have an agent at the time, but I went to read. They were looking for a new voice for this Spike Lee produced film called Love and Basketball back in about 2000. And I got the job, and then I stayed on that campaign. And really everything came as a result of that one gig. I was able to, parlay that into a first-time agent. And then, now I've been with my current agent for the bulk of my working life as a voiceover guy. And, it was just one of those timing things. And in such a competitive world, it took that opening where somebody said, we need so much, so we want somebody brand new for this campaign.
Timing.
Yeah, it's the right place at the right time, right?
Yeah, and being ready. We were talking. George was with me. I was doing a panel discussion with some other trailer promo guys over at Screen Actors Guild. A week or so ago, and we were just talking about being ready for your break. So that's key. They don't come along every day. So if you get that break, if you're asking for a favor, or if you're looking for that break and it comes your way, then you got to be ready. And Scott Rummel was telling a funny story about doing a session, his first session, where he didn't know what the cue beeps were, the three beeps that beep you in for the spot. And I told him I was the same exact way, just sort of acting like I knew what I was doing, and fortunately didn't get called out.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah. It worked. It's worked out, and I've been very fortunate, and have now worked for a lot of different people in the promo world. Not as I want to do a lot more in trailers. I haven't yet. I'm 41, and I think that a lot of the reads that I get for the movies are the films that skew a little younger. I look forward to doing the kind of stuff that like a Howard Parker or a Scott Rummel or Ashton Smith, that kind of stuff maybe comes with a little more maturity, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a fun gig.
Yep.
It's a je ne sais quoi. It's hard to say what it is that makes that voice hit right now or hot right now. But like you said, it's timing is incredibly important, but being ready for that to happen at any time is really crucial, because if that opportunity comes and you're not ready, it's gonna pass you by. So to get ready, so what are some of the steps you took? Was there a specific coach you felt like really was the one that helped move you forward, or has it just been an accumulation of a lot of different experiences, not one thing in particular?
I think, I went to I moved to LA to go to acting school, and I think that I grew up in North Carolina, and one of the biggest things that made me ready, and I will always be grateful to my school for for this. I didn't know at the time, obviously, how handy it was going to be, but we would, you had to learn how to speak in standard American speech. So the dialect that I had, I was trained to, lose that regionalism that I had, and clearly would never have worked had that not happened. And this was really just on the heels of, I was actually the lady that set me up with her husband that worked at CMP, the trailer company. She was a coworker of mine, actually. I was working at this fencing studio. So it was, I was just really fresh out of acting school. So that's one thing that had to happen for me. And that if you're out there and you want to work beyond the region that you live in, you want to do the national and international voice thing, it's imperative that you sound like you're from nowhere in particular. Now, the other fascinating thing is, on that note, that you take Howard, you take Ashton, you take, the top trailer guys, and you listen to them side by side. And what's fascinating for me is just the slightest little difference in how they wrap their mouth around sounds, and how those sounds are delivered, and how that can really mean, a unique short career or some real longevity. If it's, in the case of those three guys that I mentioned, they have real staying power. And so in terms of my prep, I really just kind of stole from people. I listened. I was a sort of a student of the game, but I didn't have any formal training aside from my actor training. And I remember I had an in-house CD from William Morris. I think a buddy of mine worked at Nickelodeon or something. He gave me this CD, and it was back in the time when William Morris had a lot of the big voices, and I really just wore that thing out listening to their promo guys and trying to figure out where I fit in the picture and develop a read, because my first demo was completely made up. Nothing on that demo was real, but it sounded great. And we talked about that some the other night at SAG too, that you got to have that great demo that people think is real. I actually had a fake spot for the NFL on Fox. I had a fake spot for that NFL on Fox playoff spot, and I don't know if George knows this, but I just finished my 10th season with Fox. That fake spot stayed on my demo until I actually got the real job at Fox.
I love it.
So
that's what it takes.
That was kind of a weird thing. Yeah.
I've got so people are definitely interested in some of the technical aspects of the studio too. That always comes up in the chat room. Of course, we are the East West Audio Body Shop. So what you don't see is that I have a slideshow of pictures of the build process of your booth up on the screen right now. So how did you feel? We knew it was time for you to put a new studio because you're relocating. But what was it about the space? What's the most important part about this space? Is it the square footage? Is it the layout? What is it about the room that seems to make it a really nice place to work for you?
Well, it's a room within a much larger room, and that's what I was looking for, having seen some other setups that you've designed. I really wanted to feel like I had enough. I wanted enough square footage in the workspace, but then I wanted that to open onto a larger area that I could get out of the workspace and just really relax. And I've talked to some guys even recently. I think it was Bo Weaver was telling me that he doesn't like to have the equipment in the room with him, and I do. I like having enough room that I can see everything, make adjustments easily in terms of levels and whatnot, and have the kind of room. I don't know how big, George. How big is that room? Is it? It's
like 10 by 12 or so, maybe 12 by 14, something like that.
Yeah, and the way you opened it up, it's got a huge. I don't know if you see that picture or not, but a huge window and a huge sliding glass door, double sets of sliding glass doors. And so you don't feel trapped in any way. Beautiful. It opens onto that room, and then there's views out of those windows. So you feel it's brighter than most, and it's just like perfect. It's just the size for me is perfect. And then when I'm done, because most of my sessions are not really that long, I open those doors up and I'm able to relax in that larger area. But I think acoustically, it's a pretty perfect size too. I've been for 4 years in an acoustic systems booth that was maybe a quarter of that size. Would you say, George?
Yeah, it was like a 4x6 or thereabouts booth, which is what a lot of people are working in when they have a small space to put in a booth, or if they're working in a closet, that's pretty typical.
Yeah, well, then my first setup was a converted closet, very, very tight, and then worked my way, up. The acoustic systems booth was for an ISO booth was as good as it gets, but I was going crazy. I really wanted. I spend a lot of time in there, and I wanted it to be. It needed to be bigger, but it needed to sound great, and the treatments, you call them baffles, right?
Yeah, acoustical baffles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the baffling is we had friends over last night, and everybody that walks, as soon as you walk in, you break that threshold of those sliding doors, even before you close the doors, they're like, wow, as soon as I open my mouth in there and anybody else is in the room, it sounds so good in there.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful setup. It looks more like a TV studio more than anything else. So you've got plenty of room to walk around there. Now I notice you've got your 416 there. Do you do your stuff standing up, right?
I have always stood. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one that I was taught when I was first in radio. You do it standing up, and do you find that you do a bit more of an intensive type of read? Do you do that for just diaphragm support, or for it's just because that's the way you've always done it, or?
I don't know. I think that, walking in back in the day before I was working from home and going from trailer house to house or whatever, it was very, very rare to find an option, a seating option. Everybody was standing, and there were a lot of Neumanns and, working in a room that probably was used for some ADR or whatever. And, I don't know. I never felt comfortable. I don't feel free. I do feel that I'm more constricted, and I like to be free, even in long form. I do long form narration and work 3 or 4 hours in a row, and I just don't feel that I get the same. The same. I'm not freed up as much if I'm seated.
Yeah. Now doing trailer work, it's very, very, very specific types of stuff, and there's probably only a handful of people that are really doing it and succeeding. And now, fortunately, some women are starting to do it too, which is actually good to hear. Is it true there's only like maybe a handful of people doing it, and what does it really take? I mean, what you're doing specifically. I hope you know what you're doing specifically, or you're just not walking in there and it just happens to work for you.
No, it's funny. It is a real. I have not cracked that nut. I've got to be honest with you. My bread and butter is promo, and I have had some trailers, but I'm working at it every day. Phil Terrence was on that panel the other night at SAG, and he had some really concise words of wisdom about breaking down copy and looking at that script and every word of it, and really thinking about what they want. The message that they want to get across, and breaking it down more than I think I ever have. And it's really cool to be on a show like this, or to be on a panel like that, and I'm learning every day, and especially from those that have worked for a lot more years than me. And I thought that was just about as good advice as I'd gotten on how to approach the copy, because the other thing about it is it's such a burn and turn. It's like you don't know what you don't know what you're saying until 30 seconds before they lock, and you don't have a lot of time to prep a lot of times. So you've got to get really good at it. Basically rehearsing copy so that you're ready, even though you don't know what the words are going to be. Your approach is fast, and you know what they're looking for. And someone else said that they try to think about what. Ben Patrick Johnson was saying, what is the studio head? That's who he's talking to. When they talk about you talking to one person, or do you approach it like you're talking? I often talk to, I envision it being a very intimate space, like a very small theater or something like that. It just depends on the project. But Ben was saying he tries to really speak to that studio head and try to figure out what he wants this thing to sound like, and what emotions he wants to be experienced through this read. And it is a really specific technique, and it's very, very challenging, and it's changed a lot. We talked about that too, about how 10, 15 years ago it was a lot more aggressive, and it's become very. If you listen to Phil Terrence, one of my favorites, he's just telling the story, and there's not a whole lot of push there. It's really easy on the chords, and it's just a good, deep, rich sound, and it's just an honest telling of a story,
What specific equipment are you using right now in that studio? We saw the 416. What else is
that Manley preamp? I've got the Manley preamp. I know guys that love the Avalon, and when I got in, I got that Manley and have always gotten such great feedback. So I have a couple of other studios, and I just have gone with the same exact setup. So it's the Mackie 1202 mixer, which is no great shakes, but it gets the job done. And then the bones of it are the 416 and the Manley pre. Not a lot, for a guy like me who didn't come. I did work in radio for a while, but never was that technically inclined, and that's why George is such a great guy to know. But Manley keeps it simple, it's there's not a whole lot that you can mess up there.
Yeah, that preamp, I have a picture of the rack right here, Michael, and that's their standard tube preamp. It's just an input gain and a steppable trim control, and that's it. There's no tone control, no compression, no processing. It's just the mic into that preamp, and then the mixer then just sends it everywhere it needs to go. Goes to the M box, goes to the Zephyr. There's a phone hybrid box for the necessary phone patches, and at the bottom of the rack there's something people don't maybe not recognize. It's a headphone amplifier for having more than one pair of headphones plugged in. But really, this is pretty much what most voice actors doing promo are going to have in the studio.
Yeah, and it's
it's funny. So people just so often ask, engineers always ask if I'm doing anything or putting anything on it or whatever, and they just want it clean, and that's about as streamlined as it gets, really.
Yeah, clean is key.
yeah. I mean, it's really worked well for me, and that Sennheiser, that was sort of that whole thing started. Were we talking about that together, George? That story I heard again from someone the other night, but basically I worked for ABC a lot, and Ernie Anderson's a legendary announcer there, from years ago, and Ernie got tired of being in the booth. He, like me, I think he wanted some more room to move around, so he wanted to come out and sit next to Liz Lee, the engineer who's been there forever that I still work with. So Liz told me the story about how, she needed to figure out some way to let Ernie sit out in the bay next to her and still sound good, and she got that 416, and Sennheiser should pay her a bunch of money because
tell me about it.
She is, that changed that just Sennheiser, that model mic became the industry standard. I walked into ICM first time, and their whole, all four mics in their booth had 416s hanging from them, and I said, well, that's what I'm going to go with. And I know I've shared some of these stories with George, but what's fascinating about that mic is it sounds so good, and then I can be in an environment that you just would think would be too noisy or too much bounce, too much outside noise or too much bounce inside or what have you. If you get up close on that thing, the way I and most of the guys I think work it, it's just that's all they're hearing is you, and it's really beneficial, especially now that we're getting into more Source Connect, doing more sessions on out of hotel rooms and trying to convert spaces that that just don't sound that good into a workable scenario. And thanks to that mic, I got a lot of flexibility.
Yeah. It's going to cut out the outside tones and zero in on you, which is what it's for.
That's right.
Yeah.
It does it pretty well. That mic was designed to be in a boom pole, but when that engineer, what was her name? Elizabeth, right?
Liz Lee.
Yeah, Liz Lee. When Liz Lee needed to find a mic to throw in front of Ernie that he could use in a control room next to the mixer, next to all the other people in the room, and get usable sound, that was the mic that she had in her arsenal, and the rest is history. It has a certain sound to it, and I know there's other makers. I know MXL and some other companies have made mics that have a very similar sound to that mic to try to get something that sounds like it. but something about that mic. I've seen mics designed that looks exactly like it, like the NTG3 from Rode and a couple others, and they just can't quite get it right. That mic just seems to have a sound, and it just works. And people always ask me, "What's?" Yeah, go ahead.
It's still very competitively priced. It's like you compare that to the Neumann, and the Neumann is warm, and I think it gets better with age. But the 416 at I don't know, like $1,000. $1,000. It's a great value. I mean, I've had the one that's hanging in the booth that you guys are looking at. Had that thing for 10 years, and that Manley, I've replaced one tube on it, and it's just a workhorse tube.
Yeah, a good tube will last 3, 4, 5 years sometimes. But yeah, tubes usually. I mean, if you talk to some people, every year they replace them. Other people every 5 years. To me, it's just if you start hearing some hiss and some noise, look at the tube. But they generally last a really long time. Can I leave everybody with a little sample from your promo demo off your website, Michael? I meant to play it at the beginning, and I just didn't have it ready. Mind if we play a little bit of that?
I don't mind at all.
Cool. I'm going to roll a little bit of that, and if anybody else has another question we want to squeeze in, let me play this, and then we'll jump back, and then we'll say goodbye to Michael. Here's that promo demo.
Temptation.
Tomorrow you'll be one hot bitch.
Deception.
Cartel money.
And truth. All sewn into one. Nip Tuck. It's an issue that affects millions of parents.
He's been diagnosed with ADHD.
And Super Nanny's helping one mom.
Don't hit me.
Who's had enough.
I don't know what to do.
All new Super Nanny, Monday, 9, 8 Central after an all-new wife swap, only on ABC. Tomorrow, Westbrook and the Red Hot Eagles square off with Breeze and the Saints. The NFC Divisional Playoffs this weekend, only on Fox. Two of TV's sexiest women, Stacy Keibler and Tiffany Thiessen.
I'm your new CEO.
Easy on the eyes.
Will turn Brian's world upside down. An all-new What About Brian?
I am in control here.
You are not in control.
An FX network premiere, The Negotiator, next Wednesday at 8, only on FX.
That's awesome.
Well, one thing I want to say real quickly, and this did come up at SAG as well. It's like, Scott Rummel was asking for us all to submit our demos so he could play a sample like that for the crowd that was there.
Yeah.
And I went online and, I hadn't heard my demo in forever because you get to a certain point. The nice thing about this business is you get some loyalty, you get some, you get some repeat business or what have you. And it's just, I'm not apologizing for it, but those are some really old promos that I've done, to 10 years old, maybe some of them. And,
sure.
I'm reworking it now because it's just, people either know your work and they hire you, or you're just auditioning stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give that one.
I heard you say Westbrook.
I'm proud of it. I do feel like I'm getting better every day. So.
Exactly. Yeah, when I heard you say Westbrook with the Eagles, it's like, that's going back a little while.
Yeah.
But it gets the point across, and God forbid you have to make another demo, but someday you may feel compelled to do that, and I'm sure you've got great material to pull from for that. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, we have one more question here, and I think everybody always wonders about this one because we all have mentors. There's always somebody you can look back, a great teacher or something. Did you have a mentor that really helped you make that leap into the level you're working at now?
We talked about this the other night because of the great Don LaFontaine, and Don never really bestowed any huge wisdom on me like he did for a lot of people that knew him longer than I did, but he has been was an inspiration to so many people, and that's what's so great about the lab over there that George designed and did such a great job with. It's helping so many people get a start in voiceover and learn more about it. But yeah, Don just really, what he did, and I said this the other night, is he made me feel like what I was doing mattered and that it was special, and he took great pride in the field of voiceover and promo trailer specifically, and again, an untrained guy basically trying to learn from other people, doing a really good job with what they're doing and trying to develop my own style. And I picked up tidbits from people over the years, but I would have to say that Don was the inspiration and just really, he gave me a great sense of pride and accomplishment more than anything.
Thank you.
That's the most important stuff to know. Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure. We've been looking forward all week to having you on the show this week, and And the pictures of the studio are fabulous. Guys, don't try.
It turned out great.
Go ahead.
You got to get George. I mean, that's the thing. I looked for a house for 5 years to have George, basically for George to design a booth for me, and he knows how happy I am with it, and it's a real joy to. But when you spend 98% of your time in a space, it's really important that it feel right and that it sound right. And he's the best there is, and that that came from seeing other booths that he had done. So it's congratulations to him. I feel lucky to have been able to work with him on it, and hopefully it's going to serve me well for a lot of years.
Yeah, high praise indeed.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Mike.
Thanks for being there for us and taking some time out of your family Sunday, which I know is always hard to do, and spending over 25 minutes with us. I really appreciate it, and we'll let you run, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for doing the show. I love it, and I really appreciate you guys having me on.
All right.
Have a wonderful rest of the weekend, man.
Okay, guys. Take care.
Take care.
All right, take care. Mike McCall. Man, all these people want to be on our show. We must be doing something right.
I guess so. And I told Mike about the show, and he was like, I would like to do that. And I was like, really? Okay. Cool.
Absolutely.
It's fun. And I think everybody feels like they want to give back, especially guys like Mike and the other people that he was sharing the panel with the other night at SAG Foundation doing that summit thing. They want to give back, and that was inspired by Don more than anybody, and it's trickled down to the rest of us. And we're all wanting to, whenever we feel a little taste of success, you want to give it back. So that's another reason why we're doing this show. It's our way of helping out the community and giving back a little bit.
Yeah, because we love you guys.
We do.
You keep showing up every week. We're not sure why, but you keep showing up. So. Anyway, well, we've got just a little bit left right now, but I think it's time to talk about our very good friend, Harlan Hogan.
Harlan Hogan.
Sitting there in Chicago, looking down upon all of us going, I have what you need. Just come to VoiceOver Essentials.
Come to me.
And I will have it for you. VoiceOverEssentials.com. Harlan Hogan has made all the right choices for you. Instead of you going, when you go into a retail store, you go and look in the catalogs or go online, it's like looking at what mints you want when you're going through the checkout line. There's so many, you've got, your peppermint, you got your wintergreen, there's so much stuff.
Right.
Harlan knows what he's talking about. And he's looked around and he knows what works for him. And if it works for him and he's been doing it a long time, it's probably going to work for you. And he understands that, and he's made it very, very simple. If you really want to get the right stuff for your studio, go to voiceoveressentials.com because he has what you need.
Here's the latest product. Not latest, but here's one product I've kind of cherry-picked out for the week.
Ooh.
This is the JK Audio Auto Hybrid. So what this thing does is if you still want to use a traditional telephone line in your office or your studio, and you want to just tie that telephone into your studio audio so you can be on the phone and speak over your normal microphone, your regular studio mic, and hear the caller back in your headphones, this is one of the least expensive devices to do it. And it does it very well. And it's very simple. Doesn't even need a power supply. It just plugs into the phone line. One end goes to the wall. The other jack, you can plug a normal, telephone into it for making the actual dialing out on. And then this thing plugs into a mixer, and that's all it does. It just ties your phone into your home studio. But this, to me, is the one that I've probably installed more than any other pieces of equipment. So I think it's the best way to go. And Harlan knows that and made sure that he had this in his roster of available equipment on voiceoveressentials.com.
Yep. And so that's where you got to go. voiceoveressentials.com. And thanks again to Harlan Hogan, who makes it all possible here for us at East West Audio Body Shop, so you don't have to watch all the national spots with people like Mike McCall on them.
Sorry, Mike. Apologies to Mike, yeah. Right.
All righty. Well, let's move on because, my God, it's getting like close to 10:30 here in the East.
Almost tomorrow.
Well, not quite. It's tomorrow in Australia.
Right.
For the people watching us in Australia. And we know there are people watching us in Australia. They're just watching 3 weeks from now. But we have pictures of people's home studios that we want to look at. Now, we've got to show Paul's. I mean, we've looked at Paul's before, but he seems to have done some very interesting decorating in there. So why don't you pop his stuff on there?
I got it. I'm bringing it up right now. I'm dragging it into the shot.
Yeah. The little Dutch boy here apparently likes his tulips.
So this is Paul Strikwerda. Am I saying it right? Dan, you know how to say it.
Strikwerda.
Strikwerda. See, that's why I asked, because I knew I'd do it wrong. Strikwerda's home studio. And let me get the little framed a little bit better. There we go. And so here's a shot of, oh, look at that. So he just basically created a dead corner in a large room and treated it with
a bathroom rug.
Yeah, a throw rug on the table or the copy stand there. And I always tell people to throw a rug or throw a hand towel or something over the hard surfaces near the mic. That seems to work really well. And he's done something similar to that. And I'm sure Paul will chime in the chat room if we get confused. He could tell us also who makes those acoustic panels, because that's I think a relatively new company that started making some really cool, very unique looking acoustical panels. And then what else we got? Here's another angle. Now we're looking kind of from the side, seeing more of the room. So he's got it treated with foam panels to break up the acoustics in the room all the way around. And he's got a clever take on it because he's got his studio monitors and microphone all in the same space. So the studio monitors are going to benefit from the improvement in the acoustical treatment in the room as well. So that's really clever.
Yep.
And I see he has
a
Himalayan salt lamp there. I've got one of those. They're pretty cool. Puts out, what is it, positive ion? Is it positive or negative ions? Something like that. It helps you feel better. That's all I know. Just there's something about it. And then here's the business end of the studio, the mic itself, and I believe that is the 930 from Microtech Gefell, right?
That's a Gefell. That's right. He is so proud of that thing because he won it.
You couldn't have picked a cooler mic to win. Oh my gosh,
really.
That's like a $1,600 mic, and it's a beautiful mic, and it's sitting on a really interesting shock mount that I happen to know is made by a company called Rycote. Rycote out of England, and it's a really interesting design, but it's a universal shock mount, so it mounts almost any size mic and still has a suspension design around it. So that thing's pretty slick. And it looks like studio monitor. He's got the little baby Alesis. I think those are the 520s. Does those look familiar to you, Dan? Or the 320s maybe?
Can't see them quite well from here.
I think they might be the 320s.
They're good monitors.
Yeah, they're small and nice sounding.
Yeah, I mean, he built that studio himself. I remember we had him on last year when he was building it, and it sounded like he was in his bathroom. But he did a nice job of really solidifying that and getting it dead to the point where it's dead but not totally dead. It's a fine art to really do this. And I know all of you out there want to have a beautiful studio. I mean, he's got his Grace there. Also, he loves his Mac Mini.
I love those suckers too. I love those things. I'm always installing them. In fact, he's been listening to me, or we've been listening to the same people, because he's got the Mac Mini and the AudioFire 2. I know a big proponent of that AudioFire interface was Mike Summers. And Mike Summer, and he loved it, and I think he turned me on to it, and now I've been telling everybody about it. But it's ultra clean, very compact, and it sounds really good, and it's like $200. This thing is not expensive. And then keeping things really clean, the front end, the M101 preamp from Grace, which gives you like 65, 70 dB of just super clean gain with no noise. So
that's right.
I'm not a big tube fan for voiceover studios. For me, for my money, it's all about sound quality and cleanliness and low noise. And I think that trumps tube sound any day of the week. That's just my opinion.
I tend to think the tube is just it's a gimmick, because again, we're not on the radio in 1970 here. It's, you want a warm sound, you want to sound like you.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. It's the idea of a home studio is not to make you sound fantastic. you're already supposed to sound fantastic, and you're supposed to sound fantastic on your own, and you want to be able to capture that performance as you exist. That's what people are looking for, and that's the way Paul set up there too. So
nice job, Paul.
We'll have to have him on again and talk from there so you can actually hear what it sounds like from that particular studio.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, again, if you want to have your gorgeous studio on here, we have to show Judy's again one of these days. The amazing bed studio. Send it to us here at ewabshop@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to get it on here and show off your studio. Maybe we need to have a contest or something.
Yeah, I think, contest. It might be time for a contest, actually.
I think so. No, I have to get somebody to donate something, but maybe we've got something sitting around here. Hey, I can donate my my pop screen that I just built.
Is that your pantyhose pop screen?
Yeah, well, hey, listen, look at this thing. Without it, I pop a lot. Pantyhose, a wire, a regular clip, and you have
all you need is that and some spare time.
That's right.
And
but no, I didn't have a lot of spare time. I'll just hold it here.
Just hold it. No, I don't think, as long as you don't speak down into the mic, I don't think you're going to pop it. So.
Yeah, probably not.
I did promise a NAMM show clip.
Oh, yes.
This NAMM show clip, I'll roll you a couple. I didn't get to edit these together, but I'll roll them kind of in a row. This is a new product from IK Multimedia. They're the ones that make the iMic, and that's their kind of answer to a mic that you can plug right into an iPad. Not the cleanest sounding mic in the world. I don't think it's good enough for actual voice production, but they've now made a unit that lets you plug your standard microphone into an iPad. So let me get that up here on screen for you here. And let me shrink it down to a size that we can see on the show. And I'm going to put it in front of Dan. I'll put that in front of Dan. And let me roll that beautiful bean footage.
Hi, guys. This is Dan. I'm here at the Winter NAMM Show 2012 with Broadcast Supply Worldwide. Just wanted to take a second to show you one of our new products, the iRig Pre. iRig Pre is just a simple way to connect any microphone to your iOS device. That means your iPhone, iPod Touch, or iPad. It has an XLR input. It runs off of a 9-volt battery, which means that you can even have phantom power. With phantom power on, the battery will last for 15 hours. With it off, it's actually closer to 45. There's a gain switch, and then the way it works is it just plugs right into the headphone jack of your iPhone or iPad. Then the signal comes back out through the headphone jack. It's compatible with a wide range of apps, including IK's apps like Vocal Live and iRig Recorder for field recording. But it's really perfect for use with anything from the camera app to the voice memo app to anywhere you would need higher quality sound than the built-in microphone on the iPhone offers.
And that is a little sales promo. Let me run something that I believe is a clip where we actually used a microphone through the unit. So here, let me bring that up. And so here we go. This looks like an AKG Perception 120, a nice, inexpensive, but decent quality mic.
Here we are using an AKG condenser mic with the iRig Pre actually plugged into the iPod that's filming this. So I just wanted to give you a sense for what the sound quality is. Obviously at a trade show, probably wouldn't want to use a condenser mic, but hopefully what you can hear is that the sound is nice and clean and crisp.
So it does work.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to the background noise, it's like it's a trade show. Lots going on. But, I figured I happen to be shooting all these videos with an iPod Touch, so we might as well plug it in and see if it works. So
yeah.
So anyway, I think that thing's like $40 or $50. It's peanuts, and you can throw it in your bag, and it's just another way to hook a mic into your iPad. What you didn't see in that video is it plugs in a lot like that other gadget I've talked about on the show before by Tascam, where it plugs right into the headphone microphone jack of the iPod. So your mileage may vary. It's not going to be nearly as clean sounding as something that plugs into the 30-pin dock connector, which actually requires a digital signal. That's why that new Apogee mic is so awesome. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to say one more thing. I gotta squeeze this in at the very end. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention that we do have there's another show out there. We're not now the only show about voiceover. You've probably heard about VO Weekly, and Joe Cipriano, who was on there recently, and so if you go into VOBuzzweekly.com, you'll see that he's on the last 2 episodes. That show it's more of a sit down couch interview kind of show. And it's a more casual, just, they kind of hang out and talk. It's very cool. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. Joe talks about a new event that's going on at SAG right now. Mike McCall was at it last week. And go on there and take a look at Joe's segment on there. He'll tell you about the VO panel at SAG Foundation. It's still going on for I think 6 more events, and there's still seats available. So we are looking for continued support of the lab, and that's one way that the lab can raise money is if you come to the panel, one of the panel series, either book the rest of the series or just do an individual night and come check that out. But go check out VO Buzz Weekly. Take a look at Joe's segment. You'll also get to see a video of Joe giving a tour of his home studio, as well as Scott Rummel. And who was on there recently that kind of blew my mind? Oh, yeah.
Nancy Cartwright.
Nancy Cartwright. That was a get. Oh, those guys.
Well, she wants to be on our show, too. We'll get her.
She just doesn't know yet.
We're big people, too. This isn't a competition.
No, I know.
No wagering.
I know. No, it's a fun show. Check it out. And we may be on each other's show one of these days.
Yeah. Well, it's getting kind of late here. I'm not getting the dirty looks yet, but it's time to say goodnight.
It's time to
a couple of quick things. People are asking how they can donate to make our show work better, so we can get that $10,000 Grass Valley switcher and
right.
and then the satellite uplink and all that stuff.
Right.
This is like public television. Yes, now is the time to donate. There's a donation link on our site, isn't there?
There is a donation link on EWABS.com, but really the more fun way to donate is to use the shop.ewabs.com.
The East West Audio Body Shop.
Right. If you want to get some fun things in return, it does help support the show. We get about 20 to 25% or so of the purchase. Most of the rest of it goes to the product itself, but it's a cool way to support the show. Or if you just don't want any more junk around the house, just go to the donate link on our homepage at ewabs.com, and we're happy to take anything from $1 on to just help us improve the show, help us replace George's Hackintosh with a real Mac, little things like that. I'll admit it. It's time to move on. It's time to move on from the Hackintosh.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah. No, but
anyway,
that's how you can help.
We want to make this show. We're going to be doing some things, and we're trying to keep up with Leo Laporte. We're gonna make this show even better, considering what we've had to work with. I'm pretty proud of it. I know, and I'm glad all you guys show up every week and let us know. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions. We want to see your studios. We want your input. This is your show, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of you out there. So anyway, next week, hopefully John Taylor.
Yeah.
Hopefully Bo in 2 weeks. In 3 weeks, we'll be at FAFCon. It just keeps rolling on. Next week is our 40th anniversary.
40th show. Holy smokes.
Wow. Can you believe that?
No, I tell other people about this show. Yeah, I do this little web show on Sundays, and we've done almost 40 episodes. And I'm like, when I say it to myself, I'm like, what? So
yeah, it's a lot of Sunday nights.
It's amazing.
Anyway, well, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And it's time to say goodnight. Together we are East West Audio Body Shop. Have yourselves a great week, folks. Break down that copy. Be a great performer, and we will see you next Sunday.
Take care.
Bye-bye.